ArsenalFanTV, Mo, it's late, we're still here. So many people have wanted to have their say tonight. I mean, we've been to a lot of away games this season, but this is, you know, this one of the worst.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the worst because it's almost like we've been seeing it so often.
Yeah, it happens too often. I didn't think it could get any worse after West Brom, but this was worse than West Brom. And on that day, I said the players aren't playing for him. And again today, it's very hard to say that the players are playing for him. Listen, before I forget and before I say anything else, I just want to say to Hector Bellerin, you know, whether he watches this or not, I doubt he will, but mad respect to Hector Bellerin today because he had a shocking game. Yeah, one of his worst in an Arsenal shirt, and he still had the bottle. He still had the courage to face up to the fans afterwards after taking a hell of a lot of abuse. You know, a lot of Arsenal fans were singing "You're not fit to wear the shirt" to the team today, and I was under the impression it was to the team. But a few people have come up to me and said at one point when he came over for a throw-on, the Arsenal fans kept the ball. And
yeah, they kept the ball and they started singing it to him as well.
To him, yeah. And listen, like from my point of view, I think it's bang out of order to single out Hector Bellerin. Yeah, Hector Bellerin was not the reason for defeat. Hector Bellerin has got every single thing available to him to be a potential future legend at Arsenal, right? And he doesn't deserve to be singled out.
It's frustration, isn't it? It's frustration from the fans. That's why he was the nearest one to where everybody was.
But that's why I want to clarify that. And even when the ball was held, what I thought the fans were doing was that gives us an opportunity to look at players directly in the eye, because obviously they're facing us to receive that ball and they're walking up to that area of the pitch. So I didn't personally take it to, you know, me and Hector personally. And as you say, it is frustration, even if people were looking at Hector and saying it to him himself. He doesn't deserve that.
Have you ever seen anything like that from Arsenal fans ever before? Because that's the thing that was very startling to me, that they held on to that ball, wouldn't give it back to the players. That's despite us being like 2-3-0 down, and use that as an opportunity to have a go at the players. Hardcore. I mean, I'd never seen nothing like that in all my time of watching Arsenal.
And I'm not going to criticise any fan for doing that, because ultimately, when do fans have a chance to voice their opinion? You know, you're only there in front of players when they're, you know, literally physically in front of you. Otherwise, we don't get an audience with them. So what I liked about the Arsenal fans today is that hardly anyone left early. I saw hardly anyone leave early. And not only that, yeah, we did give them stick because they deserved it, and we have a right to voice our opinion. But on top of that, we were very balanced in singing Arsenal till we die, and we love you, Arsenal, we do, as well as, you know, the negative stuff, because they needed a kick up the arse. And what I liked as well is it wasn't all just about Arsene Wenger. We told the players exactly what they think, and the players were unacceptable today, as was everything else. There's nothing good to come out of today. I don't want to try and sugarcoat or lie about anything. Lack of ideas, lack of courage, lack of confidence, lack of motivation, effort, everything. We weren't playing for the manager.
Good enough. It's disgraceful, isn't it?
Absolutely disgraceful.
You know, we've seen it time and time again. Has Arsene Wenger, Mo, lost the dressing room? It looks like it.
I believe so, yeah, I believe so. I said it after West Brom, and then you see flashes of it in games where it's like, oh, are they playing for him? But the point is, look, these are very good players, and even if they're not playing for the manager, they'll still have their decent moments in games. And since that West Brom game, I've been looking at the team thinking, well, are they playing for him? Are they not? Couldn't really quite make my mind up. This really just confirms it for me. They don't seem to be playing for the manager. Simple as that. One thing that really struck me today, you know, Bellerin, when he burst onto the scene, because Debussy got injured, no one expected him to come on and do what he did and play the way he did. He was a revelation. Today, Alexis Sanchez whips the ball over to a right back that is not expected to score. He's not expected to hit a ball sweetly with the laces of his boot for it to fly in the top corner. But what was really telling was that he didn't have the confidence to take that chance on. He side-footed it. Aimlessly kind of side-footed.
That was half the players today. Most of the players,
and again, look,
most of the players were in positions where they could have a shot. Bottled it.
Yeah, this is.
That is when when people talk about players having bottle. I always say it's not just about going in for 50-50s.
Exactly.
It's about having a bottle sometimes when you're in a rough time.
Exactly.
To have that shot. And they all bottled it today.
Yeah, and this is not me singling out Hector Bellerin. I'm just giving examples where players...
Xhaka was another one, you're right.
Who didn't have the confidence. And then another one, Bellerin gets it on the right-hand side, cuts inside, leaves the defender on his arse, he's on his left foot, smashed that ball in low, but he passed it backwards. He didn't have the courage. And I'm not blaming Hector Bellerin. He's a really young guy, and we forget that because he's been in the team for so long. Why is it that I've given two examples there, but there's other examples of more experienced players? You know, this chap mentioned Xhaka as well. Theo's guilty. Alexis wasn't great today. Ozil wasn't great today. Mustafi wasn't great today. so many players who didn't have the courage and the bottle and the confidence. Why is that?
One player that
There's
seemed
something
to,
rotten. There's
El
something
Neni
going
seemed
on.
to be the only person there, and they took him off.
But even El Neni wasn't great today. There was no one that was great today. I'm not going to try and come up with random positives because there aren't any.
Mo, how can the manager sign a new contract?
Listen, as I said in the last game, whether you want him to stay or whether you don't want him to stay, when you ask the objective question, does he deserve a new contract? Of course he doesn't. This is a special club, and to get a new contract, you have to do special things. He doesn't deserve a new contract. It's a very strong word, deserve. He might get one. They might still believe in him, but he doesn't deserve one. And really,
if he does get a new contract, can he change things?
Robbie,
can he turn it around? Is he going to be willing to change? Is he going to be willing to bring in maybe an ex-player like a Vieira alongside him and listen to them?
Would that be enough?
Would he change his transfer policy? These are all the things that he's going to need to do to get the team back on track. Will he be ruthless enough
would it be
to
enough?
get rid of some of the players that are there?
Would it be enough if he brought in a Vieira as an assistant? Would that be enough? Is that going to change the rotten culture?
That alongside, that's just one of the changes he'd have to make.
But what my point is, there's got to be wholesale changes. First one, this is a request to anyone at the club, who's got the power to do this. Get rid of this wage structure that's holding us back. We don't need to abide by this, 150 grand a week wage structure. You've got other players in other teams, that are inferior to players like Alexis, for example. And he must be looking at them thinking, well, how the hell are you on 250 grand a week when I'm capped at 150? Break that wage structure, start acting like a big club. That's the first thing. Second thing, director of football, take some responsibility away from Arsene Wenger, because ultimately he's doing too much. He shouldn't be balancing the books as well as being on the training pitch, as well as, everything else. You need to do something about that. If Steve Bold, if we're saying that we want a different assistant manager, we're saying Steve Bold isn't doing a good enough job. Either free the reins to allow him to do it, or replace the assistant manager, And also, as I've said before, if there is a better man walking this earth to take the position of Arsenal manager, forget sentiment, because sentiment is.
If Allegri becomes available,
100%.
Would you get him?
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, it's not like this is not a new thing that I'm saying. I said this when Guardiola was available. If Guardiola is available, for me, he was the best pound-for-pound manager in the world at the time. You've got to take him. And now I'm saying it about Allegri or Simeone. You can't let sentiment get in the way of progress. It's just in any area of life, you can't allow it to do that, and especially a business where you owe it to fans. You owe it to. I don't want to go on like we deserve it. We do this out of choice, right? But you do owe fans the best possible shot of enjoying what we're spending our hard-earned money and time. So do us that favour. And also, the thing I find baffling as well, you've got Usmanov, who dearly cares about the club, it seems, based on everything he says. Don't exclude him. At least invite him to put his company name on our shirts for a couple of 100 million a year. Just bring him to the table. What can go wrong if you bring him to the table? He's clearly a very successful man. See what he's got to say. See if he's got anything to add. A 33% shareholder, whatever it is. I really don't understand some of the decisions that are taken at this club. And the final thing, Ivan Gazidis, as the CEO of this club, if I was in charge of a business that was in crisis or just going along so aimlessly, I would not want to be seen. I'd be thinking about my reputation as a CEO. I would not want to be seen to be doing nothing, to be so passive. We talk about on-pitch leadership. There needs to be some strong leadership coming from off the pitch as well. And Ivan Gazidis, the rumours are that he wants to be the catalyst for change and he's being held back. If that is the case, maybe it's time to come out. And I know that you operate in a certain way and the club operates in a certain way, but maybe it's time to do yourself a favour and don't do yourself a disservice, because ultimately it's your reputation that's on the line and people are looking at you saying that you're not being a strong leader. So come out and make some promises, make some commitments to us fans, because it's very hard for us to keep our cool, and eventually what are we doing? We're taking it out on Hector Bellerin at a throw-on, or even taking it out on each other, and we've seen those ugly scenes. I'm not apportioning any blame on that to the club or Ivan Gazidis or Arsene Wenger. We take responsibility for our own actions as fans, but they need to come out as strong leaders and try and steady these waters and take a bit of direction for this ship that's kind of just coasting along aimlessly.